And I think sometimes clubs and federations and stadiums can get obsessed with trying to pump atmosphere in and use music to get atmosphere, when in fact sometimes it's better just to not do anything and let the fans take over. And you mentioned 2 events around Katie Taylor. What stands out to me on Katie Taylor Fights is her walk down to the arena, and not necessarily because there's anything in the background or there's songs in the background. It's just a pure emotion, and how she then plays it so well that she takes her time, she soaks it in, and then the atmosphere builds and builds and builds. And I think from a commercial stuff, when you're looking at sponsors, when you're looking at people to do stuff within stadia, you've got to make sure you create that. Munster Rugby did it really well when we played the Aviva, when they had I think it was Zombie, and it was the creation of that whole feeling where the crowd's done. Would you see that as the main reason you mentioned Katie Taylor, the 2 fights that you went to, was because the crowd created their own atmosphere themselves almost?
Totally. Yeah. And listen, it's very hard to create something because you have to, there has to be huge buy-in from everybody. Like you mentioned, the Zombie one is interesting because with Munster Rugby, they tried it the first day and it was like, oh, I'm not really sure about this. And then the second day it was like, oh, this is great. And then the third day it was like, right, we're all in on this, so you do kind of need to buy into something. Like, it's funny. I was watching the University of Texas the other day on social media. I don't know if you saw, the college football season's up and running. Yep. And they come out to Metallica. And so they started off and it's like Off to Never Netherland, that, and like, or Off to Never Neverland, and everybody's jumping up and down. So the whole stadium is doing it. And then it cuts to the team, and then the team walk, and then they wait. And when the song kicks in, then they walk out, but the whole stadium is hopping. And I was saying to my husband, I was like, I would love something like that for the Irish rugby team, or something that really, like, everybody's on their feet and everybody's united together. Because rugby matches in particular, I think Munster have started to get it right now. And I think they're probably the only province at the moment, because go to any of the others and it's like the fan experience at them, it does need a little bit of help in a way. And I think you're right. Sometimes we've tried to pump it in, like Croke Park is the same. It's like, at some point you have to say, okay, how are we going to make the user experience better? Like the Premier League have tried loads of different things with different stats. If you go to Arsenal, you can look at the back of the back of seats and you can tap in and see stats and that kind of thing. I just think it's going to have to at some point become like the fans take ownership and they say, we're going to have a song. We're going to start this. The Fields of Athenry is a perfect example. And that's why Munster are so good, because they have their own songs. Whereas like I was watching the Irish rugby team when they landed over to the Rugby World Cup and they started this Viking clap thing. And I was like, this is not us. Like, that's what the Swedes do, or the Icelandic team, when they had it, it was amazing. But like, that was years ago and it's not an Irish thing. And like, I love the Irish rugby team. I love supporting them, but I'd love for us to have our own thing that we take away and it becomes our thing. I was like, why didn't they sing the Fields of Athenry? Let's celebrate Irishness. So I'd love for a bit more of that in terms of our fan experience. But you're absolutely right. The fans need to take a big part of that ownership.